You know, they say a week is an eternity in tech. Well, the last 24 hours, that felt more like a decade. We're talking billions of dollars being thrown around, global supply chains just screaming for mercy, and regulators playing this frantic game of catch-up. So, you're going to want to buckle up because we're about to unpack a truly wild day in tech.
So this is the question, right? It's on every CEO's whiteboard at this very moment. But maybe the real question isn't how you do it, it's how much are you willing to bet? And the answer, as it turns out, is a number so big, it barely feels real.
$50 billion with a B. That is the massive war chest that Oracle is apparently building to go all in and dominate the AI cloud space. It's got to be one of the biggest bets on AI we have ever seen. So you're probably asking, where's all that money coming from? Well, the rumor is they're funding this bright, shiny future by potentially cutting up to 30,000 jobs from their present. I guess that's one way to crowdfund your ambitions.
Okay, but this isn't just an Oracle story. That $50 billion, it's like a giant signal flare in a much, much larger conflict. We're in a global AI arms race, and every major player is scrambling to add more fuel to their rocket. But as you're about to see, not everyone is using the same launch pad.
In this slide right here, it just perfectly lays out the global divide in strategy. On one side, you've got the US, where private capital from giants like Oracle is leading the charge. But on the other side, you have India, which just rolled out an absolutely unprecedented 22-year tax holiday for cloud data centers. They're basically broadcasting a giant neon sign to the world that just says, hey, AI builders, your paradise is right here. This isn't just business anymore. It's a global chess match for data supremacy.
All this investment, all this expansion, it all comes down to one tiny, unbelievably complex little thing: hardware. And this plea from NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, it just perfectly captures the massive bottleneck that's forming. He's practically begging his main supplier, TSMC, to just make more chips, faster. And that brings us to the core crisis of the moment.
So here's the bottom line. The AI gold rush has created this crippling shortage of the one thing everybody needs: the digital pickaxes and shovels of our age, high-performance chips. And when demand goes vertical while supply just kind of stays horizontal, well, you know exactly what happens next. Prices don't just go up, they explode. This chart just brilliantly illustrates the true cost of the AI boom. In just the first quarter, memory chip prices jumped up by 90%. But look at AI compute chips, a breathtaking 125% increase. This isn't just a squeeze, it's a full-on chokehold on the industry, and it's affecting everyone, even the biggest player in the game.
For more than a decade, Apple and the chipmaker TSMC have had what you could call a pretty exclusive marriage. But the supply strain is so intense that for the first time in 12 years, Apple is reportedly being seen dating other suppliers. I mean, when a titan like Apple is forced to fundamentally rethink its entire supply chain, you know the pressure has reached a breaking point.
So with all this money flying around, all this chaos, and all this new tech just breaking the old rules, you knew it was only a matter of time before the referees showed up. All over the world, governments and regulators are starting to blow the whistle, trying to write the rulebook for a game that's already in overtime.
And believe me, they are busy. The EU is putting Elon Musk's Grok chatbot under the microscope over concerns about, inappropriate content. The US and Australia, they're cracking down with new age restrictions on social media. And on a global scale, public outrage actually forced the consulting giant Capgemini to sell off its US business because it was linked to some controversial contracts. The message from the refs is loud and clear. The whole move fast and break things era is facing a major penalty.
So, with all these pieces in play, you've got the money, the shortages, the new rules. Who's actually coming out on top? And what are the strange, completely unintended consequences of this mad dash into the future?
Well, the winners are pretty clear. Companies right at the heart of the infrastructure boom like NVIDIA, Oracle, and TSMC, they are just printing money. And thanks to that massive tax holiday, data centers in India are looking like one of the safest bets on the board. The losers? Well, legacy companies that are just too slow to adapt. And anyone, like Apple, who made that risky bet of putting all their eggs in one supplier's basket.
And then we have the leaky bots. Everybody meet Maltbook, an AI-only social network. In their frantic rush to innovate, they somehow managed to accidentally expose 1.5 million user API keys, which are basically the digital keys to the kingdom. It's a terrifyingly perfect example of this new dangerous frontier in cybersecurity, where the speed of deployment is creating these massive gaping holes.
This chart just perfectly captures the bipolar mode of the last 24 hours. You can see the pure, unadulterated optimism around AI in the cloud, right? It's all fueled by that investment. But then look at security, deep in the red, thanks to horror stories like Maltbook. It's the classic boomtown problem. We're building these incredible skyscrapers, but we're forgetting to install locks on the front doors.
Oh, and just in case the day wasn't quite chaotic enough, there are now some serious whispers that Elon Musk is planning to merge his rocket company SpaceX with his AI company xAI. Because hey,
Why just build an AI empire on Earth when you can start planning one for Mars, right?
Okay, we have covered a dizzying amount of ground. A $50 billion bet, a global chip famine, and regulators on high alert. So after all of that, what should you actually take away from this whirlwind of a day?
When you zoom out and look at the big picture, a few really key signals emerge. First, the big players in AI are getting stronger. They're cementing their lead. Second, we are literally witnessing fundamental shifts in the very foundations of the internet. And third, the message coming from all this noise is just unambiguous. The time to act is now. The ground is shifting under our feet, and standing still is simply not an option.
So what does this mean for you, practically speaking? First, be prepared for the stuff you buy every day, like your phone and laptop, to get more expensive because of that chip squeeze. If you're in business, you need to be seriously looking at India and what those incredible incentives could mean for your data strategy. You absolutely must double down on security to defend against these new AI threats. And finally, please learn the painful lesson from Apple. Never, ever depend on a single supplier.
Which leaves us with one final massive question. In this chaotic, high-stakes race to redefine our world, three powerful groups are battling for control. You've got the builders, like NVIDIA, creating the technology. You've got the bankers, like Oracle, funding the explosion. And you've got the bureaucrats, like the EU, trying to write the rules of the game. So who are you betting on? Who do you think will ultimately win?
Visit newsbite.tech for more tech news in bites.